Jim Mill in the chat already. Okay, for everyone out there in streaming land.
Is it Headcast Network?
What's up?
What is it? Is it Headcast or G.I. Joe or what?
It's G.I. Joe. It's what is it? YouTube.com/G.I.Joe.
There it is. Found it.
Bless it. Find it. Because I can't speak. So.
Yeah. Oh, apparently we're live. Nice.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Glad I already picked my nose.
That's why I always have the camera set the way I do.
Yes, Jim, you have the time to
right. Steeler? I'm gonna take. Is it Steeler? Maybe. Is it Steeler with the pink pox?
We'll get there. I almost did a Steeler, but
Brad
Bazooka maybe.
We are live, and we had people in the chat so far to get going. So you got things on in your end there, Serpentor, as he disappears. Maybe not. Welcome to the world of Doing It Live.
Doing it live.
Hey, Brad, you there?
I'm here.
Are you looking for the mystery in the box?
Yeah.
What's in the box?
How does Aaron fit in there? Jeez. All right. Well, if we're ready to get going.
I was born ready.
Nice.
That's what I hear.
Good to see you, Brad.
Good seeing you guys. And
What I hear.
unsheathing the comic carefully.
Very nice. Very nice. So, speaking of which, 1 second.
Oh, we all got originals here.
Probably somewhere, but as usual, I read mine out of the like my fancy hardcover books.
There's some very fun ads in this issue that I'm sure we'll get to.
So unsheathing it. You didn't have your back pocket rolled up. And...
No. I received a sternly worded email from Kevin about proper comic book etiquette. You know, it was like a multi-page PDF.
I have something to say about that regarding this issue.
Yours was working in your back pocket?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get going with the show if we're all ready. And welcome to G.I. Joe, a Roller American Headcast, episode 49. I am one of your hosts, Aaron, Brotherhead Moss. And as usual, joining me, I have my regular crew of Misfit Island toys or whatever. We have, doing some artwork over there, we have Jared Albrecht, a.k.a. Death Probe.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here. Not a lot of people know this, but I was actually pieced together from the DNA of several different yard sailors. So that is why I am the ultimate bargain hunter. If only they'd put more artist DNA in me. That's what I need some more.
Missing, yeah.
I need some more of that, but unfortunately, I'm heavy on yard sale, not so much yard artist.
Also joining us, we have Kevin. Sorry, mine. Hang on a second. Try that again. Also joining us, we have Kevin Reitzel, aka Raider Nerd.
What's going on? This is
Kevin.
This is the Mega Force edition, right?
Yes, this is the Mega Force podcast.
Good, because Jared finally saw it. So
I did. My Persis is fully combated.
Now join the Cool Kids Club. Well, glad you could be here, Kevin.
Good to be back.
And also joining us, we have Mr. Brad Abraham, a.k.a. Serpentor. Hey, Brad. How's it going, man?
Hey, Aaron. It's good to be here. And I just got to say to Kevin, deeds, not words.
That's right. That's right. It's just an old no shoulder.
Getting the subject today. I'm surprised you're here, Brad. But, you know.
No, I was not going to miss this episode for various reasons, which I will get into whenever Aaron lets me speak.
We'll have to see about that. But anyway.
I like how his name tag is like going over his mouth so we can't actually like see his mouth move. There you go.
Anyways, yes, we are here to talk about G.I. Joe issue 49. This is, let me see. I've got the information here for us. The cover date was July of 1986. The on sale date, April the 8th, 1986. Cover price was 75 cents. The title of this one is Serpentor, written as usual by Larry Hama, penciler Rod Wiggum, inker Eddie Bushiski, letterer Joseph Ruzin, colorist George Roussos. And the cover credits, according to what Mike says, was just Mike Zeck. And the editor on this was Bob Harris. And this was reprinted in G.I. Joe Volume 5, the trade paperback. And they didn't list it on Mike's Amazing World, but also it's in G.I. Joe, the Complete Collection, Volume 5, if my resources are correct. And
Verified.
there you go. And that's the only reason I've Jared on the show. I can cut Jared loose now.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for at Yard Sale is Twitter or Facebook, Instagram.
That can be edited out. No. Anyways, and also over in the chat, I can see we have Jim Mill joining us. Hey, Jim, glad you could join us, man. And also Kevin's hanging out over there. So let's go and talk about the cover. This is the cover of G.I. Joe, issue 49. The cover shows basically Dr. Mindbender with his white mustache and Destro sneaking a corpse that's eyeballing us out of some crypt. We've got some Egyptian pottery, whatever, behind him. The walls are a bluish color. Be a classic cover, but let's get into that. Let's get some thoughts on this. Jared, any thoughts on this cover of G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero?
Sure. It's always nice to see Destro and Dr. Mindbender in a dead sprint. That's my Crypt Keeper impression for the episode.
How do I know him again?
Artistically, it's pretty good. It's Zeck, so I'm gonna like it. I feel like it's a little bit of rushed Zeck. Beatty's not involved. The line work is not its strongest. But what I think really makes this a strong cover is not even necessarily the art, although it's good. I mean, it's halfway decent Zeck, so it's good. It's really the you glance at this cover and you're automatically transported to that time of G.I. Joe. You know that this is the beginning, the true beginning of the Serpentor, or Serpentor, as some people pronounce it, saga. So, like, to me, it's more of a catchy cover for what it represents than maybe its artistic strikingness. Strikingness is not a word, I don't think, but I'm going to use it. So that's what
it's a word now.
Yeah,
nothing's a word until people start using it. So
there
we all start using strikingness, it will become a word.
Yes, I'm interested in the strikingness of Kevin's comments on this cover.
Well, let's get some of those thoughts, Kevin. Do you have any thoughts on the strikingness of this cover?
Well, first of all, I have to confess something. So I've been a stickler about, first of all, using the original comics when we talk about these on this show. And I've also been on someone's back about protecting their comics. Right, Brad? Right, Brad? Brad, right? Well, I have a confession to make. I have 2 copies of this issue here, both of the retail versions, not the direct-to-comic one. But this one I kind of rescued because I don't know if you can tell, but there's actually a crease. Someone had folded this. So there's a crease down the middle and a crease down the middle here in the back. And it's a little painful, but I rescued it, and this will be the one that I'll read from. But
I bet I know who the former owner is.
I was going to ask if you get that from Brad.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to it. That's what happened to my original cover.
But this is just one of those iconic G.I. Joe covers. When you see it, you get you know, as you're a fan, you know what I guess arc is coming up, and G.I. Joe's kind of making a turn now. in another series of new characters, introductions, obviously, with Serpentor, of course, being created, and a little body there. Someone's eyeing you. Got to be honest with you, though. To me, the comic, as much as I do, I there's some nostalgia for it. I'll be honest with you, but it's not one of my favorites because I don't like them in mid-stride in the way this was kind of, I guess, done or concepted, I guess is the word. I don't know. And Dr. Mindbreaker's codpiece is like right there. It's just like right there. What? You know? So I like I prefer that they would have used like something from the inside. Like this might have been a good cover, the first page right there, you know, just something like that. But them just, you know, walking up some stairs, you know, and so I don't know. It's not my favorite design, but it's definitely iconic.
Very nice. And real quick before I get to Brad's thoughts, ready to last as long as possible. Jim over in the chat says the mummy is wondering why he got woke up from a nap. So,
yep, there he is. I love it. It's like, dude, I'm sleeping.
Let me see. Kick from studio. That's not what I want. Maybe I do. There he is. So there he is. Try getting a solo of that. There he is. There he is.
Why is he sideways? What's going on?
I think he's drunk. That's how to read this issue. Brad, aka Serpentless. Turn my head sideways to see you. Any thought? Are you there?
Is he frozen? Is that what's going on?
I'm wondering.
I'm gonna have to watch him like this. There you go.
I like to think that he's sort of like cosplaying Serpentor on the cover. He's
maybe that's what he's
sideways,
doing.
like we're supposed to be carrying him up the steps.
I got to turn my monitor to the side so I can see. There he goes. So I don't know if Brad's froze or if he just died having a thing by having to read this issue.
Well, show all of us again.
We'll go back to the main screen. There you go. So I was in the process of looking for it.
Yeah. I just gonna have to do. Oh, there he is.
You back? Are you back, Brad?
Can't hear you. Unmute yourself. Can't hear you.
Hear a word, man. Nope. Now you're muted. Now you're not. Still can't hear you.
He's being Snake Eyes.
And today, acting in the form of, or the role of Snake Eyes, we have Brad Abraham. Yeah.
Can't hear you, man. No.
That didn't help either.
Yeah.
So apparently Brad's having some technical difficulties.
Check your computer mic. See if you can just go straight from that. Meanwhile, Jared, he is making either I think it's an Angry Steeler or an Angry green shirt, maybe. I don't know. Something like that. Yeah.
All will be revealed eventually.
Sure.
Brad needs some AV help here.
Well, while Brad fights with his equipment, if you want to try.
Brad, if you can hear us, go ahead and leave the studio and then come back in. Maybe it'll reconnect you.
So I was just thinking. Well, we're waiting on Brad. I'll give my thoughts on this. Again, like you guys have both said, this is a very iconic cover. I remember the cartoon when this came out, showing Mindbender and Destro, you know, stealing from the tomb and running away, and then it gets caught up for the cover. So even though I know I see where Kevin's coming from, try that again. Well, I see where Kevin's coming from on that. I don't mind him running up the stairs with it because again, I remember it from the cartoon or from the commercial for it. So like I say, it is very nostalgic, aimed for me. It is one of my big likes about it. So
I do have to give props to them. Was it Destro using a German Luger? Although that thing is about to jam.
And also, I do like that. You know, they're carrying the mummy out, and he's got one eyeball looking at us, as we mentioned. That's very. I don't know if that's creepy or if that's odd or what that is. But like you guys said, yeah, this kind of, like Kevin said it, this kind of takes a turn for GI Joe, and it starts to go a little bit more towards the
Clutch. Clutch. Sorry.
Yeah, something in your throat there, Kevin.
Yeah, I just guessed the Jared picture there. He's doing clutch.
Jared picture. Guess what Jared's drawing today? So Brad, are you with us or no? Still no volume. Nope, and there he goes again. So it looks like Brad's maybe his computer doesn't want to be talking about this episode. Or this issue. I don't know. And he's back once again. There you are. Are you there, Brad?
You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
can.
I can hear you.
And we can hear you.
Talking out.
Using your phone?
Great. You know, I have two devices in here because every time I come in to record, something and it did go wrong. So there we are. So we're talking about E21, right?
Yes, we're talking about 21.
Yes, issue 21.
And that's why Pat's joined us in the chat, actually, because it's 21. So, Kevin, Pat wants to know what you have against pod pieces, my friend.
I'm sorry, but Labyrinth scarred me.
And thank you for joining us, Pat. Glad to see you in the chat.
And if you've seen Labyrinth, you know what I'm talking about. That is just not normal.
So, Mr. Abraham, now that you're back with us, do you have thoughts on the cover of issue 49?
You see, I had thoughts, but thanks to Kevin, now I can't unsee Dr. Minder's codpiece. So I got nothing. I got nothing. No, I got some stuff here. You know what? This is going to surprise everybody. I actually like this cover. It's a nice EC creepy magazine, Vault of Horror kind of vibe going on. I like the atmosphere of it. Has some pretty good use of color, especially where the sarcophagus is sort of in the bottom right of the panel. It's sort of a golden hue to it. Everything else beyond that is kind of cold and dreary. So it's a nice use of color there. The whole image of Mindbender and Destro skulking about through an Egyptian crypt carrying a mummy is such a TV show thing, though. It feels out of place with the comic, but I guess we'll get to that. I think the first time I saw this comic was in a previews magazine, the cover, and the resolution of it was so small, I thought they were carrying Storm Shadow's body with the open eye peering out. I thought to myself, oh, great, Storm Shadow's back. He's alive. But sorry, he's dead, and he's not coming back ever. So we'll just move on from there.
Very good. And before we continue, Pat, again, from the chat, he expects to see a cosplay of Dr. Mindbender from Kevin. I think we all want to see that.
I'll over-exaggerate a piece, I'm sure.
I think it's called a CODS play.
And Pat says that maybe it'll help you get over the fear. And we get
Damn it, I should have done that pun with my Crypt Keeper voice.
You should have.
Damn it.
All right, how did I kick Jerry out of here? And also from the chat, Jim says that the cover definitely portrays what goes on in the story. And yes, and that's one thing I always like about these covers when they actually show a scene or something that's actually happening in the comic. So that's another plus for this. Thank you, Jim. So let's get some numbers on this issue. Again, this is out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas, if I can figure out the words. And that's what we make up words on this show because I can't figure out real words. 1 being this sucks, and 5 being that this is something you want to have on a poster and hanging on your wall. Jared, out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas, how many Yojo
I am
Colas do you give it?
gonna solidly put this one out of 4. You know my feelings if it's a Beatty, Zek, or just Zek, whatever. It's gonna start at a 4. I'm gonna give it the 4 because it's Zek. Again, it feels like a rushed cover, but like we've all mentioned, it's memorable because it really encapsulates the storyline. So 4.
Very nice. And Kevin, out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
Well, 2.5 is middle of the road, I guess.
Right.
But I'm gonna, and I was thinking between 2.5, 3.5, and then I'm going, well, if it's Zek, it gets an extra half, but then the cod piece, it's a minus. So I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3.
A 3. Okay, and Brad, out of 1 to 5 Yojo Colas.
I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3 because I have to say something positive about this issue, so I'm going to give it a 3. I'm kidding. I have positive things to say. Honest, I really do.
And I also give it a 4. I agree with Jared. It's a Zach Beatty / Zach / Beatty / whoever it is. Definitely is at least a 4. So, and from the chat, Pat gives it 5. Iconic feels for him. I can definitely see that. And Jim gives it a 4.
Nice.
So thank you very much, gentlemen.
A little more favorable in the chat there.
Yeah. The chatter on Team Cool Guys. And again, to steal from Pat and Jared.
That was a good one.
So let's go ahead and talk about the issue itself. 1 second. Okay. So let's go ahead and get some thoughts. Jared, do you have thoughts on this issue?
But of course, this was a fun one. Hang on, I'm reaching. Gotta get my book. Okay. All right. So this was a fun one. I'm realizing more and more that I had a lot of these comics as a kid, and I was kind of probably flipping through them and not really reading them because these are.
And why am I not surprised?
This is like I know I owned it, but my brother Jason's 5 years older than me, so he was probably like actually sitting there like reading them and the nuance, and I was probably like flippity. Oh, that's a cool, but I really just like the way that this one is structured. I mean, you have sort of the mystery, not necessarily mystery, but intrigue of what's going on with Serpentor. You've got the bringing to the head of the whole ripcord, possibly airborne scenario that's going on. And then it just sort of culminates in the big, Joe strike force attack. And of course, at the end, Serpentor. And there's a lot, of detail to talk about in there. And since I'm going first, I don't want to take that from the rest of the guys. So I just want to pick up one detail and I'll leave the rest for the guys that I really liked. Okay, I lied too. One, I love the fact that they're planting the seed that although Brad swears he's not coming back, Storm Shadow's still kind of there. But speaking of planting seeds, it was this page here, I guess content page 2, 3, 4. I love how where they're sort of talking about this and building this. If you look closely down the little corner, the little helmet in the glass case.
Oh, yes.
I really like that. Like, I love it when they plant either the artists or the writers that plants that just a little early seed that something that's going to be really important later. So I thought that was really cool. And again, there's a lot of really cool things to talk about in here. I will save the rest of the content of the book for the fellows. Although in these collected IDW editions, the complete collections, they come with this bonus material stuff about each issue. And out of this one, I wanted to pick one fun fact for you. This is one of the rare moments where Larry Hama actually worked or sent a note directly to Buzz Dixon over on the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
It's here in the notes. Larry sent a note to Buzz suggesting that Serpentor should sound like John Houseman. If you remember from the 80s, he was like the Masterpiece Theater. John Houseman. He sits by the fire, right?
Right.
Wait. He's the host in Scrooge. The old fart reading. Yes.
Larry suggested to Buzz that they use that voice because what he wanted was a very youthful and energetic looking guy with a very old voice because he's made of old souls type of a deal. And so I thought out of all the ops brief stuff that's in here, as you can see, there's a ton. I don't want to bore you with it. I thought you guys would enjoy that nugget. And with that, I will pass it on.
And from the chat, Pat's helping you out there, Jared. He says culmination.
Culmination. Thank you, Pat.
And then Jim says he's a big fan of All Out, everyone involved battles, and he loves how Larry sets the battle up. I agree, Jim. And I just, as Jared's talking, I zoned him out because that's what I do. And I realized I forgot to read the synopsis on this one. So let me read that now that Jared already talked about it. I can edit Jared out.
I kind of did it. Yeah, I kind of did the synopsis.
But yeah, Destro and Mindbender are stealing a body with the bodies they need to create their And since Jared can speak better than I can, I guess I won't do this. No. Destro and Mindbender are stealing a body to complete the bodies they need to create their new Cobra super soldier. Also revealed is the 11th mind being used to create the soldier is that of the recently deceased Storm Shadow. Meanwhile, a Televiper with Firefly and Scrap Iron has tracked a signal going to the Joes, and they capture Ripcord. They take the captured Joe, place him in the brainwave scanner to see what the Joe knows. As the Joes start their attack on Springfield, Serpentor awakens, takes charge of the defenses of Springfield. So that is the synopsis. Jared covered a lot of that. So let's go ahead and get some other thoughts on this one here. Let's go ahead and I know there's a way of doing it. I just don't know how to do it right.
Just slide the pictures in and out. There you go. Yeah.
Thank you there, Kevin. Brad, Serpentless. Do you have thoughts on this issue? Would you like to poo-poo all over this issue?
I have thoughts. I would not be here if I did not have thoughts. I know you are all sitting there thinking, why is Brad even here? Because we know what he's going to say. And prepare to be dazzled. First, I just want to say, I really would have loved to eavesdrop on the conversation between Hasbro and Marvel when they let this little snake out of the cave. Because when you're a working writer meeting with your employer, the last thing you ever want to hear from is, we have this great new idea and we know you're going to love it. Because you generally and you think it's the opposite of great, all internally, just to be clear, all internally, because you have to decide whether to A, tap out and say, I'm done, or B, take their idea and make it work, because you've been the writer of this thing since 1982 and you've taken some degree of authorship and ownership of the story, the characters, and the ideas. And the true comics experts on this panel here, I am not one of them, could throw out some names, but are there any other cases in comics where a sole creator, for the most part, steered a series through this many issues? Like how many X-Men did Chris Claremont write? You know,
I think all of them.
All of them. After from the reboot when they kind of relaunched the book in 96, 93, yeah. So I think after 50 or so issues of this, Larry probably felt a degree of ownership of the book and the characters in the story. It's hard to walk away sometimes. Believe me, I've worked on projects where I wanted, on one hand, to walk away out of frustration, but I didn't, because I'd invested enough of my blood and sweat and very frequent tears, and I didn't want to just let someone else take it and run with it. And sometimes you just don't have a choice in this matter. That all said, and this is the point I've been building to, that you've all been waiting so anxiously for. I don't hate Serpentor. I don't have an issue with Serpentor. I kind of like Serpentor. And, you know, we talked about this last episode, how G.I. Joe definitely changed over its years. And I had to do that to stay fresh and attract new readers. And that's just how long-form storytelling works. And while I always lean more towards realism in a military book, something Jared said last episode kind of gave me pause to reflect, because Jared, you were speaking as a combat veteran, and you said, you know, war isn't fun, it's not glamorous. And in a book like this one, you do need an element of literal book villains to fight against. And, you know, it's a marked difference between the James Bond espionage one and Serpent character is kind of the apex of that. So the apex comic book villain wouldn't be out of place in any of the Marvel Universe books. He may be a little too fantastic, though James Bond did go into outer space to drive an invisible car. I should just let's call a spade here. My only issue with it really is just how he enters the story, because it's very abrupt. There's no preamble, hint earlier in the narrative that Cooper was planning something like this. Just, oh, we're raiding ancient tombs for DNA to create a super soldier. There's no hint of like a sinister plot or a teaser or something from an earlier issue where we see shadowy Cobra operatives breaking into a tomb to steal a corpse. Just the title, Serpentor, and here we go. And think back to that great issue, 36, All the Ships at Sea, where it ends and Cobra says, well, they don't know about our operation in the Gulf. And we had to wait a few issues to see what their special operation in the Gulf of Mexico was. And our interest was kind of that we're building something. And I just think that if Serpentor had been alluded to in issue 44 with Dr. Mindbender's introduction, and had Baroness or Destro say, your super secret double jeopardy plan, you know, is brilliant, then, you know, we'd have some sort of setup. And I've said numerous times, and I do believe that in this story, as long as you set it up capably, I'll buy into it, no matter how outlandish or crazy it is. So, you know, I don't really have anything negative to say about this issue. It does its well. And again, I don't really have anything negative to say about Serpentor because honestly, coming in 50 issues into this series, you kind of need some element to come in that's going to cause conflict, more conflict at least within Cobra. So it kind of shakes things up a bit. And that's all I got to say about that.
I like the part when he said that I gave him a good idea.
And I was looking, and yeah, the only previous reference to anything is in the last issue when Mindbender said he wanted to keep Storm Shadow's body because of it's a shame to waste such good genetic material. Other than that, yeah, there hasn't been any lead up to it or anything. So yeah, I agree with you on that.
I will add that I think there's a core idea there that them trying to genetically engineer a super soldier who's a brilliant tactician, I think it might have worked better if they grounded it in something, I don't want to say believable, but just, throw a bunch of sciencey sounding words at the wall and see what sticks. Like, say you steal the DNA of all these great leaders, you create some sort of serum that you inject into a Cobra volunteer, some generic grunt, and the DNA overwrites the volunteer's personality, you end up with this super brain comprised of the great military leaders of history. Then, over the course of several issues, he starts getting these delusions and starts having these memories and makes it to Cobra Island with the rest of the town. And when he's there, declares himself emperor and goes as Cobra commander. That kind of happens to a degree down the road. But, sometimes it's just how you're going to introduce it. I think it sometimes feels a little bit like, they knew they had to put him into the book. They had to figure out how to do it. And this is just throw him in and we'll figure it out later.
And I wonder how much that came from Hasbro, because again, they both, while they did it differently, it was very much the same the way both the comic and the cartoon introduced them. So I wonder how much of that was Hasbro's doing and how much of that was just independent. Hasbro just said that Mindbender creates a Cobra hacker, so they both had similar ideas along that. Very good point there, Brad. So I'm glad we kept you around.
Thanks. Thanks. Okay, I occasionally have a good point.
Raider Nerd, thoughts on this issue?
So, as a famous promo from a very popular podcast network called the Longbox Crusade, they like to ask a question, but then they do it as a setup, and they say, well, that's not a question. So, well, this is setup, right? What is it, Jared? What are you guys saying, that funny promo that you guys doing?
I was doing a bit.
You're doing a bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is an underrated issue for many reasons. And one of them is the ultimate setup issue because of what's coming in issue 50. And I think that, even though the cover steals the attention and the introduction of Serpentor is important for many reasons, what's really underrated is the B plot here of the entire G.I. Joe combined forces being divided up to do their certain jobs for certain reasons to basically invade Springfield. And I think that is one of the coolest things that's happened in a G.I. Joe issue, where all the G.I. Joes get together and are planning to do something and to explore each of their specialities, so to speak. And I think that's really cool because I can't remember since the first issue, maybe that happened, or was issued in 1819, the attack on the G.I. Joe base. We got a lot of G.I. Joes there as well, So this is a big deal for that. And there's a part of me that wishes that I kind of would have seen that on the cover, but we get a little tease of that in the next issue. One of the things that stands out for me in this is a good Firefly issue here, because he's mentioned a lot, he's seen a lot, he has a lot of action, and he gets a full-on endorsement by Destro. And he's, Destro's planning here with the newly crowned Serpentor and Dr. Mindbear, and everybody goes, I'll give you a company of Cobra infantry, 4 Hiss tanks and 2 Stinger jeeps. That is all I can spare. Firefly is the most ruthless of the 4 that will stay with you. He will decide if you have betrayed us or not, and kill you if necessary. It's a pretty good endorsement for Firefly. Firefly is, of course, a favorite among a lot of people, including I think a few people on this on today's podcast, by the way.
Ding.
Exactly. One of the other things too that I love about this issue is little things when it comes to using weaponry, and I love it when, and this is the first time I remember in comics where, and they probably did a lot in the old like GI Combat and stuff like that, but I didn't really grow up reading those. I'd kind of go back and read those. But I love the fact that, you know, you got weapons that show mid-slide ejecting the shell firing. I love that. I thought that was really, really cool. But the whole thing with Serpentor, you know, I agree with Brad a little bit. I liked there was a little more sciencey stuff going on, but you know, it's a comic. I get it. But to me, the most impressive part of this is just the amassing of all the GI Joes and them getting their assignments and seeing them all together. And there's some really cool shots, which we'll get into later, of them squeezing all of these GI Joes in here. In a certain panel and seeing who's on this particular job of what they're supposed to do. And we also got some introductions as well. Some new Joes in there. Was it Lift Ticket? I think he's one of the people that's introduced in this one, if I remember correctly. Who else was in this? God, trying to remember here. First appearance of Lift Ticket, Slipstream, Leatherneck, and of course Serpentor. So, but yeah, you know, and I did like seeing Serpentor be grown, I guess. Is that the right way? I don't know. But to me, I think it's really the GI Joes that steal this issue because of being able to see all of them do their thing or get ready to do their thing. So
right.
That's my first take on the issue.
Very nice. And from the chat, Pat says we're in the middle of a good story run with these issues and the ones to come. Agreed, very much so, Pat. And Jim agrees with him.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get my thoughts on this. 1 second, I'm getting this figured out. Maybe. Try this. There we are. So again, some thoughts I had on this. Again, I do like that. You know, the question is, where did this body here come from that they're turning into Serpentor? I know in the cartoon they showed it was protoplasm and mumble jumble gumble. This year we've actually got a fully formed, except for the face, human body in the pot of stew. Not quite sure where that came from, but I do like the reveal of. Again, he mentioned last issue that he didn't want to get rid of Storm Shadow's body. It'd be a waste of good genetic material, and here we see Storm Shadow. He's got her prepped and ready to go into the pot of stew, if you will. I skipped a couple of issues there, a couple panels. So back at the beginning of the story, I do like when they're still in the bodies and Destro uses his wrist-mounted rockets to blow those guys up. I thought that was an interesting shot. And then you've got to love Cobra Commander just going all maniacal and laughing and talking to the heavens as he, stands above the terror drone and
hooded Cobra Commander too.
Yes, the hooded Cobra Commander makes it even better. His hands raised to the sky. I just love the way this image works. It's very Cobra Commander to me. Again, as Ripcord or
possibly Airborne.
I was trying to think of the name you call him. I couldn't think of it for a second. My mind blanked out. Ripcord or Airborne or Airtight or Slipstream or whoever this guy is in the car just getting away. I like how he steals his car with this little girl in it, and so he stops to let her out, and she pulls that big massive gun out of her purse and like, no, I think you're getting out here. We're turning over the nice Cobra Troopers.
Can we just talk about what she says to him too? She says, "Don't try anything funny. This here is a 357 Magnum loaded with a hypervelocity jacket hollow points. They make an entry wound like an extra naval and an exit wound like a size of a frozen pot pie." She's been taught so well.
So in Springfield, even the kids are ready to take out the Joes.
Thanks, little girl. You're welcome, Mr. Dreadnought, sir.
I just love the fact that even the little kids are on Cobra's side, and she's packing. You just gotta love that. She's what, 8, 9 probably, and she pulls her gun out on Airborne. I got you back, Jared.
These days, people in comics be like, "Oh, gosh, I can't believe you did that. Back then,
Yeah.
Larry's just like writing it and chuckling, like,
I know. I was friends with Larry on Facebook, so I know he's very, at least he comes across as very liberal, very, I guess, as people say today, woke. But yeah, but he's also very military. And that's one thing that made this comic great is Larry had the military authenticity to back up what he was doing. So, but today I'm sure, a lot of people would be freaking out. The little girl, even though it's a drawing, is packing a big old hand cannon. And then, we get the Serpentor coming out of the pool of liquid, donning his robe and just shattering the glass on that display case and putting on the serpent hood or head. Very nice. I just love the way that. And then, as Jim says in the chat, that the last page of Serpentor inspiring the troops is the high point. And I do like, Serpentor standing there, just the robe and the serpent's hood, chant, telling the people, just giving them, we're here, we're going to stand for Springfield, we're going to drive the Joes out. And then they're cheering Serpentor. He's like, soldiers never change. I love to hear the same speeches. And I just love that look on Serpentor's face there as he's sitting there staring at the crowd. It's just
it's the snake pupils in his eyes.
Yes.
Yes. The snake pupils is what makes it.
Yeah, very much so. And from the chat, S. Meyer says, glad to catch us. He's been listening since 2016. He's still going. Enjoy watching the replays on these streams. Well, thank you very much. And as I've been saying, Mr. Myers or Ms. Myers, S. Myers says, this is a great period in comics. And I can't agree more than that. That's fantastic. Yeah. But like I say, this sets up our next issues, upcoming issues of Serpentor taking the lead of Cobra, and like I say, next issue, the all-out battle, as it says here, Joe's battle Cobra for Springfield, the conclusion of Serpentor's origin, plus a preview of special missions, all in our giant-sized 50th issue. And as I mentioned earlier, Serpentor comes out in just his robe and a snake hood, and as Pat points out, Serpentor has no pants under the robe.
No codpiece.
No codpiece. No pants. No.
He's pantless.
Much like Jared is right now. Jared's not on camera, but
right. That's why I do this.
Is he?
Myers, thank you very much, sir. What's that?
Weird naked Serpentor in shade looked kind of like Terminator and Terminator 1 coming out of the shade.
I think that's one thing I liked about that is it was very where he's standing up on the tank and he's in shade. Looked like he's got no hair at this point, but it's very reminiscent. The Terminator. Good catch, Kevin. I like that very much so. Like I said, no, it's a great issue. It leads up. Like I said, I read this later. Like I said, first issues I picked up was 58. So I came back to this, and I'd already watched the Serpentor cartoon version. So this was more realistic than the glob of goo that the cartoon has, which we'll talk about at some point in the future. But very nice. And before we move on, we had someone that sent me some ads to talk about. Kevin, you want to talk about some ads?
Oh yeah, totally. Well,
I asked the guys for their favorite page of art, and this droids one is the one that Kevin sent me. So
yes. I want to go back in time and order that Bonkers Fruit Candy robot watch. I think that the price for $3.95 and 3 Bonkers labels is a pretty good price, actually.
That is,
and it's one of those watches that might get you in trouble in school, though, because you might start playing with it.
I
thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. I want to talk about the
real quick, Kevin. Did either you other gentlemen have anything to say off the droids ad or the Bonkers watch ad?
We might have talked about this off camera last time we recorded, but all those droids are hardbound by Marvel. It's a Droids and Ewoks
Yes.
compilation where you get all the Droids and all the Ewoks comics all in one hardbound. It came out 4 or 5 years ago. It's pretty affordable. My son loves it. I'm not a paid spokesman for it, but I think it's awesome, and I own it, and it's hardbound, and I'm fancy.
Was that part of the final countdown podcast that we were doing? Was that part of that one?
Yes. It was part of the Final Countdown podcast.
I love the Droids series, though. So yeah, I have to get that hardbound edition. That's pretty cool. Yeah, when are we going to get Pat on this program sometime?
I don't know. I know he's been busy with life, and Sunday's hard for him. He's
got that appearance fee.
But, yeah, I'm still working off the lawyers. He didn't last time he was in the studios. Anyways, Pat said he was reading this in real time. Is waiting for the next month issue to be mailed to him.
Okay, nice.
And speaking of the Bonkers watch, Pat apparently had that watch.
Did you have that color? Did it work? Did you break it?
Okay, he didn't have the Bonkers one. He got one from his local.
Nice,
store.
Very cool.
I had one of those for a short period of time too, but again, not the Bonkers one, but one was picked up locally. And
right. Yeah, go to this ad here. Let's look at the ad there for the comics, and you notice that there's a picture of G.I. Joe number 7 there. Yeah. Thundercats up in the right, and this is American Comics out of Warrenton, Virginia. I just want to look at the prices for the G.I. Joe back issues at this time. So number 1 was at $15. Okay, these are all first print. Number 2, always the rare one, is at $40. It seemed like it stayed at $40 for quite a while. And then you get like 6 and 8, and it says scarce, and they're $20 a piece. But if you go up to issue 21 through 28, which I hear there's a few good issues there, only $4 a piece for first printing. Just want to mention that. I thought that was kind of cool. And it's just fun to kind of go and look back at these back issues. And over to the right, I was also collecting the Robotech Macross saga series there. And that number 1 Robotech Macross, $10, scarce. And of course, then they got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles down there, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. What do you have next over there? Oh, yes. Okay, so you have the ad over there to the right. I did want to bring out at the top right-hand corner there, you have the G.I. Joe logo kind of covering it, but I'll read what it says. Secret Order of Star Quest the Dragon. Learn total defense and conflict control using equipment and techniques not available anywhere else. Send $2 for newsletter, the code, catalog, and membership information to Zorcom in Utica, New York. What the hell is that? Bottom right-hand corner. Amazing.
Zorcom does not need to explain himself to you.
What if Jeremy's part of that? I mean,
bottom right-hand corner, an ad for Amazing, a real digital clock and compass built in a truly unique whistle for only $9.99. Fully programmable, 5-function display, real liquid compass, full year warranty. Included programming directions, full guarantee, 17-inch neck strap. Color choices, red, white, or black. Send $9.99 or $8.99 each for 2 or more at $1.50 for shipping. By Resumex in Admore, Pennsylvania. Right over to the left of it, though, one of the ads that I find really curious now, and I wish I would have paid attention back then. Free offer, movie scripts, giant catalog, now available. Scripts to you in your favorite sci-fi horror movies from Frankenstein and Go Busters. I think that means Frankenstein and Ghostbusters. There we go. Over 3,000 amazing titles, send 50 cents, refundable for a huge catalog. Receive free offer, script party in LA, California. I'm reading from the original comic here, so it's kind of hard to read a little bit there. Yeah. So, but, some fun stuff there. Great ads. I love going through there. Do we have a few more? I can't remember.
No, that was it. That's the one you
said.
Cool.
Me. Yeah.
But yeah, I think I did buy from American Comics. I did buy some mail order stuff back in the day. I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure I ordered some stuff from American Comics.
I assume they shipped protected.
I ordered enough. They came in a box, and yeah, nothing was damaged. Everything came very nice. I was quite happy with it. So yeah, like I said, I bought from American, Mile High,
Look. What is it? Jim says, "Look at the price of Secret Wars. Oh, to pick up number 8 for $2." Pat also says Robotech is my second love next to Joe. Yes, loved Robotech. Love that series.
Love and next to Joe. And to answer your earlier question, his watch was blue.
Gotcha. Probably came in the one color only.
Probably. So anyways, that was the ads I had requested from the guys to talk about. So that's those.
I don't think Jared has ads in his book.
No, and neither did mine until I pulled the actual issue. I was reading it eventually. I didn't have any
Pain
ads,
and sorrow.
but I do like the.
I tell you what, though, looking
Let's
at
see
ads,
us.
look at those ads, right?
I'm trying to get back to us.
Just look at the ads, right? Like you could look at the ad of a comic and just the ads in total and see how awesome it was to be alive at that time. The ads in these 80s comics, there's like cards and board games and as we move into the later 80s, there's like Nintendo and
Our comments.
cartoons and
It's
candy.
a stamp in time. It's a stamp in time, you know.
And then eventually it's like it'll eventually become all video games, and then it'll become like nothing. And it's like just it's levels of depression if you pay attention to ads throughout.
Is that when Columbia House takes over?
It's just like, oh my god, you're like you look at modern comics, you're just like, there's no cool ads in here.
See, I'm looking to see if this
And
is
also, too, I love the fact that there was comic book convention ads. So if you wanted to go to a convention, here's your list right here. The whole list here, you know.
It just again, if you pay too much attention to it, you will get depressed as time goes on. But this is the sweet spot, man.
Yeah.
All right, talk about yourself, and I'll be right back, guys. Give me just 1 minute. Sorry, give me a minute, guys.
Here, just zoom in on was it Hawk's butt there? Look at that. Look at that.
Little beefcake from Hawk there.
Yeah, there we go. Ooh.
Actually, did you notice the ad? There's the comics page 20, where they have Avenger, Pack, X-Men, and the cover of G.I. Joe 50, which is a couple of. If you go to the regular book onto page 20, it's an ad opposite. It says "Hot off the press." Have a cover.
Oh yeah,
one in there.
This one right here, right?
And and the thing about the Avengers ad is it's got Kang versus Immortus, and for people listening now in the present day, Marvel's giving Kang a big push in the movies. So I always get a kick out of looking through these ads and sort of seeing the versions of the characters that we're talking.
We got the Dreadnought G.I. Joe cover issue as well there in the ads. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
While he's away, I'll let everybody know that there is an error in this issue.
Oh, are you going to get a no prize for this?
I don't think it's no prize.
Okay.
Well, we can try, but there's a part where the pilots are talking. I don't have mine in front of me, but they're talking specifically to Slipstream, but he didn't draw Slipstream. He drew Lift Ticket.
Is that the one? Is this this panel here with Wild Bill in the?
Yeah, they're talking, and then as you let's see what else you got on that page, because the misdrawing of Slipstream, he's by himself in the panel, and it's actually a Lift Ticket in the panel.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean below it, like right there?
Yep, that's it.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
That was in my little notes that comes with the book too. There was like, hey, it was like. No one had explained to like Rob Wiggum who was who, so he was just guessing. He was like,
right,
this guy.
Sure. Well, I just want to mention too that in a scene here where all the Joes are being addressed about their battle plan, and Stalker's talking to his crew. Two Joes get the shaft because they're not in the picture, and that would be Spirit and Torpedo. And this one right here, they are not in that panel, but they are mentioned.
Not seeing Torpedo is sad, but there's no noise for that. Not seeing Spirit is sadder. There we go. There we go.
Right
because you demanded it.
There's freedom right there.
We know what our audience wants.
Spirit is seen later, though, when they are... I think it's capturing the police station, if I remember correctly. He does make an appearance there. Yeah, here's Spirit right there making an appearance.
Well, actually, wasn't Spirit's military specialty recon?
I believe so. Let's see
Okay,
if the
that means he's already. That means he was already in Springfield waiting for them.
Oh,
if only the classified actually had a classified thing on the back that told you that, but no, they don't.
Yeah. Although I'd like to point out one other little, I guess you'd call it an Easter egg now, if even an Easter egg, but page 8, when Doc rallies the Joe, and at the bottom, everybody shouts, Yo Joe, which is the first instance of Yo Joe in the Joe comic.
You broke up there for a sec, Pat. What'd you say? I mean, Brad, what'd you say?
I think he was saying it's the first Yo Joe in the comic.
Is the Yo Joe ever appeared like a position.
It's true. And then later, Hawk is addressing his crew, and some of the guys say, Yo, Hawk.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, Yo, Hawk. All right.
But yeah, I love the fact that we also get the Mobat and was it the Mauler, if I remember correctly, in this shot? Right there. Pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Okay. So
We're carrying on the conversation without you because,
there you go.
We pointed out a couple more fun facts. One, that there was a misdrawing on a page where it's supposed to be Slipstream talking, but Wiggum accidentally drew Lift Ticket. And we suspect, Brad pointed this out, this might be the first instance of them saying Yo Joe in the comic.
Also, is this the first time that someone voluntarily goes into the brainwave scanner? Right here?
Possibly.
He said, yeah, I'm going to voluntarily go into Dr. Venom's brainwave scanner.
Should we tell him that it's painful?
Nah, he's
find
smart. He'll figure it out. Yeah, I forgot about that line. Yeah, I love that line. He thinks he's smarter than everybody. He'll figure it out. Or, to rob him and find out on his own.
The reason Cobra always fails is too busy being dicks to each other.
Usually, yeah, pretty much. So let's go ahead and go back. Throw the slide back up in there. So let's go ahead, unless anyone has anything else to add, let's go ahead and move on to the favorite page of art. So again, this is, and I've already threw these in here. I got them from you guys. So we'll go in order that I have them in here. First up, Brad. Your favorite page of art.
I'm going to say page 12, just because I love mobilization scenes in the book, and I love seeing all the Joes assembled, the new and the old. And, we see a lot of that as the series progresses, but just having characters like CoverGirl and Steeler and Grunt and Short Fuse in action feels a lot like the old school Joe comic again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so. Very nice page. And Jared, Death Probe, which page of art did you pick out?
That one that you put on the screen.
Page 13.
Okay, I picked page 13 because of a lot of reasons. There's a lot I like about it. A, it's got a mistake on the page. That's always fun because that's the one where he drew Lift Ticket when he meant to do Slipstream. That's not why I love it. B, my dad was a helicopter pilot, so I've been around helicopter bases my entire life. I love helicopters. I got a panel of that. I got the two definitive Joe helicopters in one shot. Love it. C, I love the aircraft flying off into the moonlight, I suppose that is. I just think that is a really cool drawing. C-130s, it's just very, cool stuff's about to go down, right? I lost where I was in the alphabet, so let's say 6. The main reason I picked this for the panel on the top right. It has a bunch of my favorite Joes. It has Stalker in the leadership position where I love him, where he was originally intended to be before that boring son of a bitch Duke took over. And I mean, I'm not anti-Duke, but I just like Stalker better. And it's got my favorite Joe of all time, which is Beachhead right there up front. And so, I mean, just quick kicks, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Like it's like a rogues gallery of great Joes. It's a great military moment with the vehicles. You get the bonus of having the little error page. This page does it for me.
Very nice. And Kevin, I know you had a couple different pages you sent me.
Yeah, this one right here. That one's that's right there with Cobra Commander just above his kind of terror drome area. He's really excited. He's done it. He's found the bodies. When I first gave Dr. Mindbender the sanction for the project, I had doubts that he could even locate the actual remains. And you got the Crimson Twins in there too, which I like. And and you got hooded Cobra Commander just being in a very cool Cobra Commander pose, and a very cool, of course, Cobra headquarters. We got the Cobra Island, and I've had a few issues with some Cobra bases recently in the the cartoon series, and we're going to talk about that again when we get there. But yeah, this one was this is one of my favorite panels there. Runner up would be Hawk's ass.
Yes, and there was a lot of great pages in here. Jim from the chat says that the final page is hard to beat for him. When he sees that issue, that's the page he thinks of, the one with Serpentor giving his monologue to his crew.
Yeah, look at that right there.
And I can't.
Soldiers never change. They love to hear the same speeches.
And yeah, there was a lot of great. This one here, in my opinion, had a lot of great choices. It took me a while to. I had a list like 4 or 5. A couple of ones you guys have picked. One of Cobra Commander was definitely high on my list. But I settled for this one here with Dr. Mindbender, again, placing himself willingly into the brainwave scanner, and just the electricity zooming around there in that first panel around the tank. And then that last panel showing the body, I can't pronounce that word, circulum, whatever it is.
Simulacrum.
So yes, that word there. Thank you. English is hard for me. I thought this was a great panel. We get, Mindbender and Destro and Baroness. And like I said, there's a lot of great choices, but this is what I finally settled on just because there was too many to choose from. So, and then from, of course, Pat being very timely, he likes the cover of issue 21.
It's all right.
Pat really.
All the cool kids are there.
Yeah. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next section, which is the Real American Hero. This is a Joe or Cobra or somebody else that you think did a fantastic job and deserves extra special recognition or credit. Kevin, let's let you go first this time.
It was a possible panel that I was going to pick. And in the last episode, when we were talking about the cartoon, one of the reasons why I like the cartoon is that Quick Kick really gets showcased a lot in the cartoon, not so much in the comic. But I love this comic here where he uses his nunchucks and he says, "That's a no-no. We don't want nasty gunshots giving away our presence. And silence is deadly." I got to give it to Quick Kick right there. He is the real American hero because he's keeping the silence. Nice. Keeping the silence.
Great choice. Great choice. And Brad, do you have a real American hero for this issue?
Well, it's got to be Ripcord. We haven't really talked about Ripcord much in this one. He's the one who tips off G.I. Joe as to where Springfield is and kind of sets everything in motion. So, and also because this is sort of, unfortunately, where his storyline more or less ends. Not that anything bad happens to him. It's just that he's moved into the background, which is kind of unfortunate. He had a really good arc. Yeah, he had a good arc. He had a pretty good and just really interesting team stuff over the last 5-6 issues. So, we salute him and look for him to pop up in an issue of Special Missions somewhere down the road.
So your choice is either Ripcord or Airborne, one of the two, whichever it is.
Yeah, whichever one. Either will do. Either will do.
Speaking of the person that can't keep him straight, Jared, who is your real American hero for this issue?
It's particularly difficult in this issue. Somebody mentions because there's a lot of stuff going on, more so because I didn't read it. So
moving on quickly away from
dang it. You know what, guys? I gotta give it to everyone's favorite shirtless doctor, Dr. Mindbender actually pulls off a scheme that works. And I mean,
Dr.
if we don't
Cockpiece.
give him props for that, what are we doing here? Right? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
no,
don't-
good.
most of his stuff goes awry, but this one, for the most part, worked pretty well. So I'm going to give it to Dr. Mindbender in a rare twist of fate.
Very good. And going back to someone that actually did read the issue, I do have to agree with Brad. I'm also going to give it up this month for Ripcord, yeah, or Airborne, or Lift Ticket,
They're
or
all good.
Crosscut, whatever his name is, one of the air guys. No, yeah, he's like Brad said. This is kind of Ripcord's last hurrah. I mean, his girlfriend's dead. His story's pretty much done. Other than maybe showing up in crowd scenes, or maybe I forget if he gets a special mission now or not. Yeah, Ripcord's pretty much ran his run. So, and again, this is. I know I've complained about this before, and I'll do it again because it's my show and I can do what I want. But that was one of my problems with them changing in the first G.I. Joe movie. I'm sorry, I guess the second one, because the first one was actually Megaforce. But in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, changing having Marlon Wayans play Ripcord. Like, he's just a generic Joe. No, Ripcord actually has a major plot line in the G.I. Joe comic for many issues, and it culminates here. So yeah, I'm going to give it up to Ripcord this issue.
All right. I have a question for the group, because give me the
So
spoiler.
do I.
Give me the spoiler if it's, because again, I don't remember these. It's almost like I'm reading them new. I love it.
Spoilers.
Are you telling me I'm not going to get to see him and Candy get together? Is that not going to happen? Is there no resolution to this?
Well, seeing how we've seen Candy get blown up,
Well, you see,
And
we
all
saw her
those
get
people-
comic book blown up, so I was like,
Right.
clearly they wouldn't.
and
Clearly they did.
apparently none of them people ever come back. So
Oh
anyone involved in
man!
that explosion, we never ever see again.
So
Are you messing with me? Or are you being serious?
About what? About
The people
Candy
that
or about any of those people?
Oh, son of a mother! Let's go. I knew somebody would be back. It's not Candy though, is it? Damn it!
I have a question for the group, and
Yeah,
actually for the
that's
chat
what I'm talking
too.
We have to ask the Kurgan about that one there, Jared. But anyways, Kevin.
I have a question for the group and actually for the chat. I thought it'd be kind of fun to ask everyone if you were a random Joe Green shirt and you were on this this attack on Springfield, which strike team would you want to be part of? We got actual strike team leader Hawk, Lady J, Barbecue, Heavy Metal, Flint, Deep Six, Airtight, Footloose, Bazooka, Crankcase, Alpine, Blowtorch, and Shipwreck. Or security team leader is Duke, Steeler, Grunt, Rock and Roll, Flash, Gung Ho, Tripwire, Short Fuse, Breaker, Mutt, and Junkyard, Snow Job, Zap Doc, Cover Girl, and Roadblock. The assault team, the leader, Stalker, Snake Eyes, Scarlet, Quick Kick, Recondo, Spirit, Torpedo, Beachhead, and Leatherneck. Air Support, Airborne, Ace, Wild Bill, Lift Ticket, Slipstream, Other Joes, Ripcord, and Storm Shadow. They're not a part of that anyway, but I want to ask you guys, which one of those teams would you like to be part of?
I'd want to be on the assault team, if only because if it's got Snake Eyes and Scarlet and Stalker on it, that's kind of like the Alpha Joes. So chances are I'm going to be pretty safe there.
Any team with Snake Eyes is the safe team.
It's basically, yeah.
And which leader do I trust the most to get everybody home alive? Is Stalker. So I'm just real quick going to agree with Brad. That was my immediate thought. If it's got Snake Eyes and it's got Stalker, I'm probably coming home alive.
And it's also got Beachhead. It's got Beachhead too. So
Because I am
there's bonus right
Beachhead
there.
in this scenario.
Yeah.
So, and again, I'm the fat guy. We sit back at the office, monitoring things from the computer. But I had to be there. Yes, I agree with both Serpentor and the Death Probe guy. I would definitely want to be on the team led by Stalker with Snake Eyes on it. That's the team to be. And from the chat, to answer your question, Mr. Meyer says Stalkers. Oh, once again, Stalker's team. It's not even close. And Pat's question is, which one has the two cool guys?
He's got jokes and jokes in the chat, but he won't come on the show.
If you guys had to speculate, which one do you think I would be on?
And real quick, Jim from the chat also says Stalker's team. So it looks like Stalker's team's heavily loaded.
It is heavily loaded, but Kevin, he goes against the grain. So I'm going to say Kevin he's going to be on the air team. He wants to be up there with the fighter jocks.
That would be a close second. I'm actually going to go with the security team because it's got Mutt and Junkyard, not to mention CoverGirl.
There you go. There you go. That's why it's got.
Yeah.
Can I change the cover girl? Oh, sorry. Of course, we got Scarlet on. Scarlet's on Star. So Scarlet cover girl. I wouldn't kick you. Never mind. Anyways, so except for Kevin, looks like everyone else in the group and in the chat, except for Pat. Pat wants the team with two cool guys.
You might have to edit this. You might have to edit this out. But I'm fascinated that Kevin's military decision was based on the possibility of physical contact with CoverGirl.
Hey,
He's a man who knows what he likes.
I'm very fond of her machinery. Just saying.
Well, she has very fine machinery. And yeah, unless Kevin requests, this is staying in because I love all this chat.
I like you. On a completely different topic, Jared. Next time you're drawing something, why don't you try it? CoverGirl next time.
In her machinery.
we'll see what we can do.
And on that note, let me throw this back into the stream. So we got the Real American Hero. I don't have anything for those right now. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And we will be right back with the cartoon. Already got the note for it already. And Jim in chat says he'd be less afraid of CoverGirl than Scarlet's. Paper cuts all over his face. That doesn't do it well. I don't have any paper handy to shake right now, so. And I'm not going to shake my monitor. I'm not doing that again.
What about your moneymaker?
I could do that, but yes, I've got two. There we go.
There we go.
One of my old character sheets from D&D.
D&D's nuts, by the way.
There we go. Having a good D's nuts joke.
It all came back around.
It all came back around to D's nuts. Okay, so let's go and get back into the conversation. Not about these nuts, but
whatever. Whatever comes up.
Whichever. And welcome back from the break. Check out those podcasts. They're all great shows. And as we were leaving, Jim piped up from the chat that he would be less afraid of CoverGirl than of Scarlet. So again, because we were having a conversation about Scarlet, CoverGirl, and CoverGirl's machinery. But anyway, it's another story entirely. Let's move into G.I. Joe, the cartoon. Insert the music. Okay, and so this one is entitled Worlds Without End, Part 1. The director is John Gibbs and Terry Lennon. The writer of this was Martin Pascal. First aired November the 4th, 1985. The synopsis, which came from Wiki. During a struggle between G.I. Joe and Cobra, an accident triggers an experimental weapon. As a result, the Joes are plunged in unconsciousness. Hard for me to say. When they awaken, the explosion hurls them into an alternate reality where Cobra has defeated G.I. Joe and conquered the world. Dun, dun, dun. So let's go ahead and get some thoughts on this. 1 second. There we are. 1 second. I'm having problems with my life. There are Worlds Without End. I couldn't find a good blow up of that. So that's the best I could find. Worlds Without End, Part 1. Let's get some thoughts on this. And I was going to go down the list here on my column I have here. I'm going to skip myself.
Bottom of the top. Here we go.
Okay, we'll do on the top. I don't care.
No, I'm just kidding.
Brad.
I feel like I've been promoted in the order. I think because Aaron was expecting to say really nasty things about Serpentor.
Hold on, let me get ready to cross off some of these here.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Brad. I forgot about Brad last time. So let's go ahead and move to Kevin then. As I move things all around, people keeping me on my toes. Got Brad not crapping all over this shit I thought he would. So let's go start with Kevin this time. Kevin, thoughts on?
All right. So when I think of iconic G.I. Joe TV episodes or arcs or miniseries, I was reminded of this one when I started watching it, because one of the things that I did as a kid is I recorded episodes with my old like Radio Shack audio tape recorder. And so I could listen to them later and not, because we only had one TV, and so I couldn't take the TV into the bedroom. I could listen to them. And this 2-parter was one of them. And some of my favorite, I love, of course, Pyramid of Darkness and The Mass Device. But there's some really good 2-part episodes, and this one was one of them. And this is one of my favorites. But what's interesting is when I was rewatching this first part 1 here, I could not remember what happened next on part 2. And I actually stopped from watching it after this one because I want to wait in anticipation for the next time we record this and actually watch it then. And I remember really, really liking this for many, many reasons. And it starts out great. You got Zartan, the Dreadnoks with the blueprints and getting the matter transmuter. I love it when they have these interesting names for stuff that they have to steal or make. And I'm wondering, like, this is something I thought that Cobra might make, but not so much. Okay. Remember how I said earlier, I had an issue recently with Cobra hideouts. They haven't really been that great. The last one was some little tiny castle somewhere, probably in Scotland or UK.
Somewhere over there, yeah. It's all the same.
This one was in a tree in a rocket camouflage. In a tree trunk. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with that?
I do. Yeah. I just in a tree. Come on. Cobra Commander scolds Destro. Watch your attitude. I thought that was cool. And Steeler complaining about his lack of love life in his personal life. I thought this was kind of funny because it kind of hit home at certain times in my life. I thought this was a perfect episode for guys. We need a good 2-parter here. We need to sell some toys. We got the G.I. Joe and Cobra glider. I love the fight between Flint and Zartan. Steeler had a chance to shoot Zartan with his Mauler tank, but instead Zartan picks up Chuckle style those missiles from his vehicle and fires back. And Steeler says what we're all thinking, by the way. They hit us, we hit them, nothing changes. Every episode.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Hey, look, Baroness in disguise again is a female scientist. Maybe. I loved seeing Water Moccasin and Copperhead in this. I thought that was really, really cool. Just one of the cool toys as well. What's with Barbecue's accent?
He's like a bad extra from Murder, She Wrote.
Okay, just thought I'd throw it out there. This episode, as I teased before, is a smorgasbord of G.I. Joe and Cobra vehicles. Buy toys! The Weather Dominator was mentioned. I thought that was cool. Steeler is getting the pink pox from a bite, some weird alternate universe bug. I thought that was interesting, kind of, and I don't know where that's going to go. The shopkeeper has a Cobra retina scan, and the woman Martha sounded a lot like the Baroness. Gonna throw that out there. And I like the fact that we're getting a resistance movement, an alternate dimension. Because of what happened with that, I guess was the matter transmuter accident at the bridge. And Cobra won. It's kind of like the man in the high castle when the Nazis take over. And I love this concept. I love these G.I. Joe bikes that they buy from the shopkeeper. What do you think those are? What kind of bikes do you think those are? Hondas, maybe? I don't know.
Well, apparently they weren't Silver Mirages because they didn't fall apart.
So they get into this alternate reality, and they find the old G.I. Joe base. And I love that there's a sign that says "Permanently closed by Cobra Commander." I would love to have that hanging over my man cave.
Love that.
Nice.
Love that.
Again, what's with Barbecue's accent?
He's more from New England than anyone who's ever been from New England.
Now, I love that we get a little, and you have to look closely, but Lady J's flaming javelin is a cool thing. but also when the Joes are shooting their lasers, their red lasers, to open up that hole, her javelin's also shooting a red laser. Just want to mention that. That was kind of cool. And Televiper with digital readout goggles. This is a
Hell
thing?
yes.
That was pretty cool.
That was
Yeah.
awesome.
In fact, I think this is the first appearance in the cartoon of that happening.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Joes have red lasers and Cobra have blue lasers, right?
I guess.
Is that right?
I think so.
Why isn't it the other way around?
I don't know. It does make more sense the other way.
Yeah. I love seeing the old Rusty Joe vehicles, and I love the little signs in the Cobra Town, Cobra Leadership or else sign, the Cobra the Post Office Cobra Imperial Postal Service, and the Empire newspaper stand that said Cobra Commander delivers State of the Empire address. And I am inspired for a new cosplay, guys. Cobra Cop Dreadnoks.
There you go.
I love it. And then,
Post-
God damn it, those silver mirages. Oh man. And I love how that it figures that they blew up on first contact with his tank, you know.
Yeah.
Cobra Mount Rushmore, the helmeted Cobra Commander, not hooded, replaces Jefferson. Destro replaced Teddy Roosevelt. It should have been a hooded Cobra Commander, not the helmeted one.
Agree. 100%.
And why didn't they take over Washington and Lincoln instead?
Maybe because they're in the middle. It was
Respect.
easier.
It's respect.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, the show in the end looked like, I don't know if they were trying to do something else with them or if it didn't really look like anything really. Just
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I love Lady J just says it. Cobra conquered the world. And a new topic here again. What's with Barbecue's accent? Oh my god! It is. Sorry, it's going. And I love seeing Steeler going insane. Baroness is the new Statue of Liberty, right?
Yes.
Is that what
Approved.
that was?
Approved.
That was
I can get
cool.
behind that.
Female Cobra Trooper.
I think I sent everybody a screenshot.
What?
There you go, Kevin.
When I saw
I'm
that,
not
I had to like pause it. I was like, "What?"
I'm not volunteering myself per se. New cosplay, just throw that up there.
Like that got past Hasbro. They okayed that.
There you go.
I have just a few more things, but I just want to look at that picture a little bit longer there.
That's why I figure I do a special picture of that. You hot or hot.
I can't explain that costume.
Nope.
And
Does
I
it
won't.
need an
just leave
explanation?
it there. Cobra rules the world ends with Cobra Rattlers on an intersect course. I thought that was really cool. And the voiceover to be continued on tomorrow's G.I. Joe. I love the fact that they said tomorrow's G.I. Joe because that's what it was. It was every day for 5 days, not like next week's or next month. So I thought that was kind of cool. Didn't have to wait long for part 2 there. Female Cobra Trooper, really hot. Just gonna say.
And
Anyway, that's it for me.
we talked about Mount Rushmore. I had a picture of that one also.
Yes.
Before we move on, Jim from the chat. This storyline is everyone's top 5 storylines.
Yeah.
He also says the Steelers' love life picks up by the end of the story.
Okay. Yeah, I have no idea what happens.
Unless he dies from that
Either way.
bug bite. We wait till next see. And I'm sure he's referring to, Jim says that this is a recruiting poster. Sign me up.
So, by the way, the voice of Barbecue is played by Lauren Lester. He's from Los Angeles, but he's
Not a native New Englander. Are you sure?
Pretty sure. In his early years, he played the evil hall monitor Fritz Hansel in the cult classic film Rock and Roll High School, and he has recurred in 5 seasons as Roy on the Facts of Life opposite Nancy McKeon.
Oh, okay.
What is he doing with Barbecue's voice? I just don't get it. It is
I don't
rather
remember anyone
annoying.
kind of that heavy of an accent on Facts of Life. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyways,
What do you guys got?
Brad.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
how do I follow that up? Kevin's basically nailed it.
Then we'll move on then. Oh,
Every single point. I can say some things. First, I gotta hand it. Jerry was right earlier when he said we were really spoiled in the 1980s. We got G.I. Joe cartoons 5 days a week, and that, I mean, everything else kind of stinks by comparison. But yeah, this is one of those iconic episodes, those two-parters of the cartoon series. The first two miniseries are kind of like the gold standard, but it sort of answers the question of what does Cobra do when they conquer the world? And clearly they turn into this weird post-apocalyptic Mad Max landscape. This is a market for rustic ma and pa general stores. So, things are different, not that different. Although I really thought it would have been funny if in this strange parallel universe, the laser blasts fired by the Joes actually hit the targets. Have the Joes actually shoot and kill some cobras and not being able to click. Oh no, are we going to get into trouble for this?
Oh my God, you hit that guy.
They're not moving. What do we do? Quick, get some shovels. Don't tell me. But also, after being by that weird insect, Steeler looked kind of like how I felt when I got COVID. Only unlike me,
the pink pox.
He did not. Unlike me, he did not have it coming out of both ends. So in that regard,
we know
I got the worst end that we know.
We saw next episode.
Yeah, maybe it gets worse. I mean, I had COVID stomach just before I had an airplane out of Philly, so it was. I know how he felt. I was having sympathy pangs with him. Although, it's never really explained how a device that can transform one type of matter to another can suddenly open up a portal to a parallel dimension, even if it's misfired. But this is Joe logic. This is G.I. Joe logic, and feeling that is probably something magical. But I caught a couple of goofs that I don't know if anybody else did. The first was with Lady J and the others flying over South Dakota, and then shortly after that over Washington, D.C. And the fastest planes are going to take you several hours to get that far.
Oh, so when Cobra took over the world,
G.I. Joe, the answer.
They made America smaller.
They shrunk it. Yeah, they shrunk it. But, in this episode, as in all episodes of G.I. Joe, the answer is always either magic, portal, or antimatter device. Yeah, magic portal. The second goof, though, this is kind of interesting. And I had this episode when it first aired, but I didn't remember a lot of it, other than it was a great episode. When he notices the Lincoln Memorial has been changed, he quips it as the Cobra Commander Memorial. But this may be a misnomer because a memorial is used to commemorate someone who has already died. So, maybe he's universe. I guess we're going to find out next episode. But for an old school G.I. Joe fan such as myself, it's just great to see Steeler and Clutch and Grunt in action. And I can only say I really hope they all make it back home safe in part 2, because I have a good feeling that they will. And that's all I've got to say.
I don't know. Look pretty grim, bro. I don't know. I'm scared.
Maybe Cobra.
I know how Steeler was feeling at the time. I gotta say it was not pleasant. But if you get some electrolytes, some coconut water, and take some Pepsi, you might get through.
Or find some Cobra uniforms to try on and blend in.
Maybe.
Yeah, last time I had COVID plus kidney stones at the same time. Not a pleasant experience, so I could see how he's feeling. And maybe Cobra Commander did die in this universe, and this is Fred 7. It's Cobra Commander in this world now. But that's never mind. Anyways, it's coming in future comics. And there we are, the Death Probe character guy. Jared, do you have thoughts on this?
I do. First of all, I have to say, if you have COVID and kidney stones at the same time, that's known as COVID on the rocks. I told you the Crypt Keeper would be back.
I can laugh at that now.
I can imagine. All right, then. Let's get my notes. Surprisingly, Kevin and I did not have a lot of overlap on this one. But there will be some, and I will not be skipping my notes. Here we go. When the scene opens, the whole thing opens, the Dreadnoks are stealing, something, the MacGuffin for the episode. I like how only Zartan dressed for the undercover operation. Like all the other Dreadnoks just showed up as Dreadnoks,
Wasn't he like a security officer in disguise? Yeah,
yes, he was a security guard. And this is my favorite note that I was laughing while I wrote it because they were like, we got the transmuter device, right? They were demoing it. And I wrote this note down. Finally, Cobra can make all the apples they've ever wanted.
When they were saying
what they made with
when they were saying transmuter device, I kept thinking of Dude, Where's My Car? When they keep looking for the transponder.
Oh, yes. Apples. That's what they went with. All right. I wrote down, no one cares about your problem, Steeler. Right? We all got that. This was a good one. Flint, as he's chasing via hang glider, says, terrible shooting, Zartan, and immediately runs into a tree. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. And I believe this was a Flint quip not thereafter, that it seems like every episode of this cartoon, I find some phrase I can use throughout the weeks until we record next. So for the next month, I'll be saying this to a lot of people. Laugh this off, happy boy. That's a good one.
Burn.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. This goes along with something that Kevin did say. I said, Steeler talking about we shoot them, they shoot at us, blah, blah, blah. I wrote down, looking at this 40 years later and after a military career and having served in a combat zone, I think Steeler's right on this one. Oh, of course. I wrote down, because I'm writing these live as I'm watching it. I wrote down, I immediately suspect this doctor lady. Next line, aha, it was Baroness. There was a cool, I sometimes catch these like neat actual like production effects that they do on the show. A lot of times it's cheaper animation, but they did a really cool effect when Kevin, you mentioned when Copperhead shows up in the what's his vehicle? Moccasin?
The water moccasin.
Right, moccasin. He shows up and they do like a really cool focus effect. Like he's in focus as he pulls up to the bridge and the bridge goes into focus and then it goes back to him. It was kind of a cool effect for animation. I was like, that's pretty neat. So I made a note of that. I like when they get the Ostriker and they roll out and Clutch is just being all kinds of casual on the hood. He's literally like, as they're rolling around on this thing, he's laid back like with his arms crossed.
I love that.
And this is an actual image from the episode from this week, by the way, that I did of Clutch. And I'll take a quick pause there for if anybody's in the chat actually listening to these ramblings. I think Clutch visually looks better in the tan outfit, but somehow I like him best in green. But I stayed true to the cartoon and drew him in tan. I want your thoughts. Do you like Clutch in tan or green? Let me know.
So Jim does ask, but did Duke get caught?
I mean, we just have to assume, right? Like, even though it's a parallel dimension, there's a parallel Duke in a parallel prison somewhere. This is definitely, Kevin mentioned this. I remember him saying this. It was neat to hear them actually have some kind of continuity and mention the Weather Dominator. That was cool. Like, you don't expect that out of your Saturday morning cartoon. Let's see. Another props to sort of the production of the show is I thought they strung the story along rather well. You all are familiar with this, and as I remind you guys millions of times, I lived in Germany. We got one channel. G.I. Joe wasn't part of it. I have hardly seen any of these. Like, I would have to have family send me on VHS to see them. So I've seen very few of these episodes. And I thought they strung this story along really well because I'm literally watching this Saturday morning cartoon for kids going, okay, are they in the future? Are they is this a dimension? Like, I just thought it was really well done that they told the story in such a way that even as an adult, I was engaged with like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
And that was impressive. And I think that's probably why this is, like Jim said, in everyone's top 5 storylines. It just felt a little more mature than some of the stuff we watched before, but still with that Joe silliness. And then my final bullet is funny because Kevin's final one was cosplaying a Dreadnought cop. And my final one says, I'd watch a Dreadnoughts spinoff, preferably titled Dread Cops. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they bike for you?
And real quick to answer one of your questions there, Jared, Photo Viper has joined us in the chat.
What's up, dude?
Tan Clutch.
Tan Clutch. Hey, that's how I drew him. For just $25, Photo Viper. This was all a sales pitch trap.
And also from the chat, Mr. Meyer says the notes on the cartoon episodes are always a damn win. And at a minimum, I'm watching with a big ass grin. Well, thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying the notes and all this.
It's like me and Kevin having a stupid off, and then Brad coming in with like cerebral thoughts on things.
And
I
we
know,
try
right?
to corral everybody together and keep it in
And then, Aaron's over here just trying to wrangle the cats,
I did want to mention, Aaron, before you go, is that I have the complete collection on DVD, but for those that want to stream it, it's on Tubi, the different comics, so the cartoons. So if you want to just sign up for Tubi free and check it out, I highly recommend it. It's a good way to stream it and watch it. So yeah,
I watch all mine on YouTube. I think Hasbro's channel themselves have put them up, and I haven't seen a missing one yet. But you guys are a bit smarter on this than me. But another option so far seems to be YouTube. So Tubi, YouTube, sounds like there's options.
Yeah, I've got them on DVD also, but if I don't have to pull the DVDs out, I throw it on Tubi and just watch it on there. So because I've got it on my smart TV, so
DVD sets.
And DVD
I think that was Brad.
I don't have a Plex server, so I have to use Tubi.
Well,
Yes.
and not everybody's that fancy.
And Mr. Meyer says easily a top 3 series in a cartoon. So now for my notes. Again, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, the 2-parters, I think all the 2-parters are my favorites. I always like when it's a 2-parter, to me, it's like, oh, this is going to be a great episode. Not perfect, as we're going to find out. So my thoughts on this. So my question is, when they're getting away with the matter transmuter, why split up? If they're all going to the same place, why split up? How are the Dreadnoks going to get to the hidden base? My next note is, in Cobra's base, they have a dramatization of the matter transmuter. So if they don't have the actual weapon, was that CGI or because they were showing it turning into other things? They turned the safe into paper. They ripped apart. I mean, if they didn't have, was that CGI, early CGI? I don't quite understand that. I don't know.
That's a portal.
Yeah, my logic kicked in. Like, wait a minute. It took me a few minutes to figure that one out. And to answer my earlier question, how they got to the base. But okay, that brings up another question: where did the Stinger and the glider come from? They just mysteriously appeared. I don't quite understand the logic there. Again, logic is my problem sometimes.
How about the Cobra Blue APC? I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. Again, where'd it come from? But and as Kevin mentioned earlier, Zartan picked up that missile rack and fired the missiles. I'm surprised Zartan didn't get any damage from 4 missiles going off directly in his chest.
Yeah. You should have just thrown them like Chuckles.
There you go. And then also we had the gliders in the air, and I think that the missile launching was other scenes from the closing. We had quite a bit of those last episode with the Excalibur. We get some more of that in here. You guys have talked about this, but I'm going to mention it again because I can. Stiller setting up this episode and next episode. Nothing we do matters. I did like how he was reflecting on how nothing they do matters, and now in these 2 episodes, he's seeing what actually happens. Again, quite a bit of notes on this. I love it. So on the train, a scientist and a doctor. Could they be someone in disguise? No. Okay. And I do like that they had those big masks on their face to protect them from the gas. Yet they also had the rubber masks on, which wasn't affected at all by wearing the other masks in between that. I what? Again, logic, I know. So again, the whole episode is the matter transmuter goes off, misfires, turns the glass to bridge, then a smoke crosses and they go to another reality. 2 questions on that, and I think you guys have brought this up. How did that happen? I don't know how the matter transmuter misfiring can cause them to switch to an alternate reality.
Should be apples everywhere.
Something, I don't know. And my other question is, Copperhead was right there with him. He was holding the matter transmuter. Where did he go? Why didn't he shift over to the Joes?
That's a good question.
See, the question, the logic my head trying to spin on these. Again,
real quick. What's the name of the GI Joe little flying jet vehicles at the dogfight at the end? What are those things called? Little one man, like they had the little skids on them.
Was that the Skyhawks? Is that right?
The green ones? Yeah, Skyhawks.
Skyhawks.
Yeah, Skyhawks.
Yeah.
They're called Skyhawks.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
No, it's a great. Movie.
Definitely a childhood favorite.
Not as much as the Trouble Bubble, but I like the Skyhawk.
It's kind of like the G.I. Joe version of the Trouble Bubble, if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. A little more protected, a little more sensible. That's why it's G.I. Joe, not Cobra. But now that G.I. Joe Classified finally coming out with the Trouble Bubble, maybe they'll come out with Skyhawk next. And Photo Viper from the chat chimes in. Skyhawks. So that was a question I had about Copperhead. Where'd he go? So the shooting into the sun, the Joes were able to hit the fangs. Meanwhile, the Cobra Trooper still couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It makes sense. I think Kevin had mentioned this. They brought up the Weather Dominator. I thought that was a nice throwback or callback. My next question, again, more logic, which, again, back when I was, 15 when this came out, 53-year-old Aaron looking at this. So I'm not sure how much it costs for 6 or 8 motorcycles, but that much money, wouldn't Herb check the money a little closer, you think, before they take off on the motorcycles?
Wait a minute. This is
halfway down the road.
This is U.S. currency, man. It's no good.
I'm like, wouldn't you check that before?
I guess I shouldn't have taken that $40,000.
I don't know what it cost for 6 or 8 motorcycles, but it seems like it could. And also another, I didn't write this one down. I had this thoughts. How much money does Flick carry on him? I don't know. Maybe the military's getting paid more than I thought.
Enough to buy 6 motorcycles.
Do you have enough to buy 6 motorcycles?
Yeah. Well, when you factor in your monthly motorcycle allowance, then yeah.
Just again, the logic of that just gets to me. As I talked about earlier, Steeler finding out the answer to his question from earlier about what would happen. What does it matter? Well, this, I guess. Next note I have here is just ouch, LOL. Again, with the ouch going across the
visor
monitor. And my last note on this is the Baroness of Liberty. What?
Approved.
Is it hot? Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
Give me your tired. Give me your Jared. Never mind.
And from the chat, Photo Viper says he wishes they would have given Mir Destro a beard.
Yes.
Oh, they did. Baroness. Oh, anyways, and also Photo Viper says Copperhead always getting left for dead in the comics, the cartoons. That's Copperhead. So, anyways, those are my thoughts, my logic problems on this episode. So, any other thoughts on this episode that we've missed, guys, or even from the chat?
I got just a little bit of trivia on IMDb. It says this episode reveals the G.I. Joe team has roughly 50 active members. And then the real names of Duke, Blowtorch, Breaker, and Bazooka are revealed as Flint's team looks at the KIA list on the computer in the alternate universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does 50 seem a little low to you guys?
By 1986, probably,
Yeah. Holy crap, there's Jared's face. I just realized that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like when Snake Eyes takes his mask off. It's not pretty. I finished the drawing.
Very
Nice.
Hey, very nice.
I wonder if
I like
can do
Tan
that.
Clutch too. That's good.
I'm gonna do the same pose.
But so what was your question again, Kevin?
Oh no, I was just giving a little bit of trivia there, but it seemed like 50 active members seem kind of low for the cartoon. But I guess there's still I mean, Quick Kick joined in the Pyramid of Darkness, so I guess they're still getting people.
Well, and how long ago did Cobra take over the world in this universe? Maybe some of the newer Joes aren't a part of the team.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's probably just the name Joes. That's not, the green shirt, Larry mopping the quarter because he's a new guy. Jared Albrecht out there, stacking shelves, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Those are probably the known Joes. But yeah.
Out of curiosity, when it came to the G.I. Joe and Cobra hang gliders, were those a mail away or was it? Because I have a feeling they were. Because I know the.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, the what do you call it? The what? Oh God, the
Falcon?
what's the what's the little GI Joe surfing?
That's the Manta.
Manta.
Yeah, the Manta was a mail away. I remember that. But
Yeah,
with the
It may just be Canadian. I remember them being on the store's shelves up in Canada growing up. I never had them. A friend of mine had them, and they weren't that great. You flung them and they fell apart pretty much.
I remember when I mailed away for the Manta, I made my first rookie mistake of the self-addressed stamped envelope. I accidentally labeled it wrong, so it came back to me before it got to them. I did it wrong on that one.
I remember buying. I never saw the hang glider toys on the shelves. I wanted one bad, but what I discovered was they made GI Joe and Cobra kites. You know, like just a kite you could go fly.
Right.
And so I was like, well, I'll just buy those because they're about roughly the same size and triangular, and I'll just attach my Joes to it. So that's what I did, and they were like 99 cents each. So,
Nice.
I was yard sale artist in it back then as well, doing it on the cheap. So yeah, I just had my guys like tied to a kite.
One thing about the gliders, the Joe glider, is it came with a grunt figure, and it was a variant because I think he was tan.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Uniform. So I think if you have, I'm not sure what the aftermarket price point on a grunt that came with a glider is, but like in Canada, there was a Cobra tank that was basically a reskinned or repainted bot. So it was like dark Cobra blue as opposed to it was just a Canadian exclusive at one of the stores there, which is awesome.
Anybody in the chat know what this vehicle is? I picked it up at a thrift store. I don't remember what it's called, but I put my snake eyes inside of it. It's pretty cool.
Some information real quick from yojo.com. Apparently the retail price for the gliders was $420. And from the chat, we had some information. Photo Viper says that his Falcon glider came from Kmart.
Oh, huh.
Jim says that the guys were offered a retail. And then Photo Viper says the best 5 minutes ever.
Flying Thunder. Oh, man.
There you go. Kevin?
That's a Rolling Thunder? Is that what that's called?
It's a Rolling
Got
Thunder.
yourself a Rolling Thunder, my friend.
It's part
Pretty
of,
cool. Pretty cool.
Oh.
looks like it's part of Rolling Thunder.
Part of Rolling Thunder. I was about to
Part
ask.
of Rolling Thunder.
I was like, is that to me? It feels like it's something that was towed behind,
or maybe it came out underneath it, or
something like that. Yeah, that's definitely the vibe I was getting from it.
Okay. I was a little confused there because when Jim mentioned Rolling Thunder, I immediately thought of the William Devane, Tommy Lee Jones movie from the 70s, which I just watched recently, which is awesome, by the way. And I think it's on Tubi. That's the one with William Devane who loses his hand to the guys who kill his wife and son and sharpens the hook on his hand and it goes off.
Rolling Thunder.
It's a great movie. It came in 77, 78. It was written by Paul Schrader, who had done Taxi Driver. And it's pretty much Taxi Driver, only it's Devane and Tommy Lee Jones as Vietnam vet / POWs released back to the world. And bad things happen. And I recommend it. It's on Tubi along with G.I. Joe. So definitely check it out.
Looking it up now.
Do it.
I'm pulling it up for you guys. Maybe.
Oh yeah, William Devane. There you go.
Yeah, this
He
is
says
the
like
Rolling
7.
Thunder. Yeah, this is the Rolling Thunder headcast now, by the way. You know,
Yes.
After Major Charles Rain returns home from a POW camp, his wife and son are murdered. Rain teams up with his war buddy Johnny to get revenge.
Can you see my screen there, Kevin?
Oh wow, look at that.
That's the Rolling Thunder, and down here's a little cart you have.
Ah, nice.
That's what you have.
Rolling Thunder.
Cool.
That's a good play set right there.
I think that's called the ATSV specifically.
Okay.
Because I know everything about G.I. Joe, and I read it from JLS Comics in the chat.
Very nice. Very nice.
So we go back to here. We'll stop sharing, and
we really need to stop sharing. Click that stop sharing button like a lot of times.
Rolling Thunder's deployable ATSV. Thank you very much. So that's what you have there, Kevin.
It's now the Snake Eyes thing. So yeah,
there you go. Might as well. What the heck? And again.
Oh, can we just leave it there for a second?
That's why I figured bring that back up while we talk a little bit more. So, anyways,
How functional is this? I just don't know.
yeah, I'm not going to argue with it because I like the look, but yeah, I don't know how functional, how practical it is. But
I think Jared is muting himself on purpose so we get in trouble and he does not.
It's called the high road muting right here. I'm taking the high road.
I know nothing about the high road, so what the heck? So, anyways,
Speaking of Serpentor here.
So if I leave this in for when I release the podcast, we're just here looking at the female Baroness's Cobra Troopers and one from behind with the never mind. Anyways, so Photo Viper says that he loves animation errors.
It's there. It's got to
This
be
is
delivered.
not an error. Just saying.
And as Jim says, dress for the job you want. Okay, gentlemen. So, unless anyone has any other thoughts about the cartoon, about these hot Cobra Troopers, whatever. Kevin, unless you have any other thoughts, you want to tell the crowd out there if they want to hear more about you, where can they? I'm trying to pull you up. There you are. Where can they find you?
You can find me on the Fandom Podcast Network. We have our own YouTube channel, of course. Please subscribe, give us a like and love. And we got Mandalorian Season 3 coming out. Really excited about that. We're going to be covering it live on Friday nights with Culture Clash. And then our friends that are also doing a podcast called What a Piece of Junk, our Star Wars podcast. We'll be doing the deep dive into it a couple days later. And we got some other fun shows on the network, too. We got Union Federation, Star Trek and Orville podcast. I also co-host one of the big shows on the network called Blood of Kings, a Highlander podcast. We got a bunch of fun stuff under that network, so make sure you check it out. And fpnet.podbean.com is our website for all of our audio podcasts. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Spartan_Phoenix. And you can also find me on Facebook. So there you go.
Very nice. And real quick from the chats, we do have Jealous Comics. She puts the ass in classified. And Photo Viper says thoughts. Anyways, Jared.
Coming off the high road mute here.
If the people want to hear more about you and hear, never mind, see more of your drawings and hear more of your high road talk, very nice. Where can they go to hear more about you?
All right, my friend. If you want to chat with me personally, I'm at Yard Sale Artist, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist. If you're interested in my artwares, go to www.theyardsaleartist.com. If you're interested in my podcasting, I'm on the Long Box Crusade Podcast Network, and I'm also on the On Her Majesty's Secret Podcast Network for James Bond stuff. If you want to come say hi and fist bump and listen to me tell bad jokes in Crypt Keeper voice in person, con season is upon us. I have already booked to be at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina in June. Dragon Con in Atlanta was that Labor Day weekend. I'm looking at Kevin to nod his head, and yeah, it sounds right. And Infinity Con in Tallahassee in July. So those are all places that you can come and say hey. And as usual, I'll be putting this up for sale on my social medias and whatnots, and this here clutch that I drew during the show. I'll probably have it at $30, which includes shipping. If you're watching the show now, if you're a fan of Aaron's and it's available, mention that. I will knock $5 off, so I'll do it $25 with shipping. But I just do that for people who kind of watch the show and know about that secret deal. So if you're out there watching or listening or whatnot, and you want it, $25 gets it mailed right to you.
And I just want to give a shout out. I love your network. I've been on a guest several times, and love your action film Face Off. And if the randomizer ever jumps back to 1982, I'm just gonna say there's a lot of really interesting movies to suggest for 1982.
I like how directly behind him is the signed picture of Bostic too, right over his shoulder.
So any movies in particular that you'd recommend there, Gavin?
No, but I'm just sure there's a lot of good 1982 movies to suggest for action film Face Off. So
noted.
Just want to mention
noted. I think if we got that movie, we definitely have to have you on as the guest.
And again, as I'm terrible at these kind of things because I suck. As Photo Viper says, yeah, if you guys like what you're seeing, smash that like button, subscribe. Definitely hit the like button if you like what you see in here. Even if you don't hit the like, please. The more people that see this, the better. Serpentor. Brad, if more people want to hear more about you and your hate and disdain for Dr. Mindbender and Serpentor, where can they go? Since we moved to focus.
If they really want to, they can go to my website, bradabraham.com. But I have to say, sort of an announcement, I've moved on from just talking about comic books to making my own. The first issue of which you can't really see. It's called Mixtape. I'm the writer. It's all blurry here right now. But basically, it's sort of a kind of John Hughes-esque grunge era Breakfast Club set in the 1990s.
Great cover art. I love that.
A bunch of teenagers coming of age against the backdrop of the whole independent rock alternative scene. A comic book I created some years ago, and just for various reasons, it was sort of tangled up rights issues with the former publisher that went under reasons I won't get into. But I finally managed to extricate the elements and everything from them, and I've been working on getting it back into print. So you may purchase copies of it through my website, bradabraham.com. It's also up at Indie Planet in print and digital versions, and I'm hoping to get the other ones up there soon. So stay tuned.
Very nice. And finally, for me, as usual, I am on the Headcast Network. That's headcastnetwork.com. I'm on Facebook. I have my facebook.com/groups, Headcast Network. And also more particular for you guys, facebook.com/groups/GI Joe. Again, you can call and leave us a message at 1-559-500-3182. Again, that's 559-500-3182. If you like what I'm doing, visit the Patreon page. It's patreon.com/Headcast Network. Throw a few bucks in the tin. And next Saturday, the 4th at 10:30 a.m., I should be doing a Bravo Team live stream with talking with Mr. Zach Hoffman. You guys may know him best as the voice of Zartan from the cartoon.
Thank God it's not barbecue.
I'll get next time maybe, but yeah, no, the guy Zach Hoffman, he's got some stuff coming up, so definitely join us next Saturday at 10:30 a.m. California time. That's Pacific time for you guys, as I talk with Mr. Zach Hoffman. Join us over on the Facebook group or the website. You can send an email to gijoe@headcastnetwork.com, and I'll read them on the air during Postbox the Pit. And join in the fun. And then next month we'll be back with our giant, I'm sure double-sized 50th episode extravaganza. I'm going to have hopefully all these guys back on, plus a few more special guests, or maybe not so special. We'll see how it turns out. We'll see. But anyway, but that'll do it for this month for G.I. Joe, a Royal American Headcast. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Even the ways forget to blast these things up there. We had Jared the Arsa artist at the Longbox Crusade, and we had Kevin Reitzel at fbnetpodbean.com. And I thought I had another one here for Brad, but I don't see it now.
Just put mine back up again then.
There's Brad. Abraham.com.
There we are.
So, I guess I'll do it for this month. So remember, until next time, knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
Deeds, not words.
Deeds, not words. Deeds, not words.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And thank you guys out in the chats. Again,
great job with the chat, guys. Good. Thanks. Wait. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. No, just again, I forgot to post this. I want to thank you guys that's watching live and listening to the podcast. And an extra special thanks to again my guests, Brad, Kevin, and I guess I'll say Jared. What the heck?
That other guy.
Yo, Joe.
Thank you guys very much in the chat. And again, As Jim says, great, fun show. We'll see you guys.
Good to see Jim.
Good seeing you, Pat. If you're still out there, Photo Viper, Jealous Comics. Who am I missing? Oh, Mr. Myers. Thank you very much for joining us. I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate the comments. You guys, again, I like when you guys in the comments throw out things for us because it makes things interesting. More interesting than just having Jared on. So, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast now. Thank you guys out there in TV land.